Welcome back, travelers! We have already spoken many times about the various harbingers of Fatui, such as Columbina, Dottere, or Capitano, but we have never touched upon the most important person, above whom in the Fatui hierarchy stands only the Queen. And of course, we are talking about the leader of the harbingers, Pierro. And thanks to the recent release of the new teaser for Over the Edge, which put quite a lot of emphasis on this character, we now have a lot of hints that Pierro has a good chance of becoming a playable character. And so I think it's high time to sit back and take a closer look at both the character itself and how, even in theory, it could become playable. It will be very interesting and useful. I have a new promo code in my Telegram channel. Just go there and activate it via link in description box. Let's start with what's worth learning more about Pierro. And let's start the story about him from a little further back, namely from the fall of King Rhea to the cataclysm that destroyed the ancient civilization. Pierro held the position of an ordinary court magician, but he was not inferior in strength and was better than the sages, and in some ways even surpassed them. Buy crystals from lootbar.gg. It's 100% safe and secure top-up platform, namely Honkai Star Rail and Genshin. PS5 and Xbox players can also save up to 25% of actual in-game price and get 10% discount coupon. Besides Raiden Shotgun and Teviat, times are using for crystals. Go to lootbar, select Genshin Impact, choose item, put UID, select region, then pay and get crystals. We are getting double the currency for first-time purchase. Link description and pinned comment. For example, in Foresight, and after all, watching the experiments of the sages, but he did not have time to warn them not to do what broke the bonds of sin and brought the wrath of the gods, which led to a battle for the country, in which Pierro showed strength comparable to the gods, which, by the way, allows us to draw parallels with Dainsleif. After all, his story was almost identical. So, let's get back to the new teaser, in which we were briefly shown that Pierro saw with his own eyes how the goddess of death, Renova, cast a curse of immortality on all the Cenarians. And as can be judged from his internal monologue, in which he says, "I don't care about the price of looking at God. I already know it. I only care about the price that will have to be paid for killing him." After such a spectacle, he hated the heavenly order and intended to destroy it. And to achieve this goal, he took an oath to the Queen and created the Fatui order and personally headed it. Well, we seem to have sorted out the story. Now let's move on to the most interesting part and try to find out whether Pierro will become a game character or not. And here, looking back at the experience with the Capitano, everything is quite ambiguous, because on the one hand, the developers have already shown him in a new preview, and, as we know, they do not put characters on such previews that we will not meet in the new region. So, this character will appear in the game's plot with almost 100% probability. But at the same time, if you look at the Circle of Harbingers, then its time has not yet come, since the next game Harbinger, in theory, should be Columbina. And developers can easily repeat the captain's trick, technically freezing the character until it's his turn. That is, first the Capitano appear in the plot, after which he is pulled out of the plot, but at the same time he remains alive, and nothing prevents him from being returned to the game in some update and made playable. Unlike the same Signora, because it is unlikely that this character will be returned there. And even knowing Genshin, it's not a fact. But at the same time, this is just a theory, albeit a working one, and nothing prevents the developers in the new plot from making us allies of Fatui to achieve a common goal, which, as for me, can serve as the search for Columbina, who, by the way, judging by the preview, either left or ran away from Fatui and Nodcry. And even more so, as we've already said many times, all hopes are still on the game. Columbina. Also, if we talk about what element Pierro might have, then, based on his style of clothing, I would bet on cryo or hydro element. Well, as for the sign, considering that he is a magician, the catalyst immediately comes to mind. But on the other hand, a two-handed sword would suit him very well, considering he's a big and stern character. So let's briefly sum it up. So, first of all, Pierre will most likely still have to appear in the plot of Above the Edge, but when it will become playable, and whether it will become playable at all, is still unclear. For some reason, it seems to me that it will be something similar to the Capitano, considering that too little information will be shown about this character. But on the other hand, considering that Cryo is sort of an official region where we will meet many Harbingers, then nothing prevents the developers from releasing a game. Columbina, a playable, Pierro, and even a game Pantalone at once. Why not? Considering that in the trailer, we were shown 7 more Harbingers. Yes, of course, they won't all become playable, but I'd still like to see at least a few. So that's how things are. Be sure to write in the comments how you feel about Fatui and Pantalone in particular. It will be interesting.